Democrats are stuck. That's it. They're still searching for the voice in the Trump era. That's only 127 days old, so imagine how much harder it's going to get. A growing number within the Dem Party now say it's time to rethink how Democrats talk to voters. The Washington Post puts it this way, quote, Democratic troubles revive debate over left-wing buzzwords, end quote. Senator Ruben Gallego says some words are just too Ivy League tested terms. Governor Andy Beshear adds Democrats have begun to speak like professors. And from the Wall Street Journal, Rahm Emanuel teasing a White House bid saying Democrats' brand is weak. Rahm Emanuel calls the party's brand toxic and weak and woke, a nod to culture war issues he thinks Democrats have become too often fixated on that President Trump has successfully used against them. And earlier this month, longtime Democratic strategist James Carville was still talking. Check this out.
Don't use the word equity, use equality to your little heart's desire. People basically don't know what it means. This is another really stupid word, oligarch. Who the knows what an oligarch is? I wouldn't even use the LBGQT plus or whatever it is. I just call people gay, a lesbian, or trans.
In focus now, Michael Knowles, conservative podcaster and author. Great to see you again. First of all, your top-line thoughts on finding some words that work.
The Democrats just can't help themselves. The Democrats are looking at this report out today in the New York Times, shows that nearly half the countries in the country are triple trending Republican. Basically, none are triple trending Democrat. They have lost the people. And rather than look in the mirror and say, maybe we need to offer people something different, they say, no, we just need to speak in a way that these dumb idiots can understand. You heard their line. They said, we're speaking in a way that's too professorial. No, the problem isn't the words you're using. It's that you're offering open borders and crime and men in the women's bathroom and all sorts of things that the people don't want. The people are smart enough, and they're smart enough to reject you at the polls.
They're also offering the palette that Biden left behind and that Democrats in charge left behind, and that is one that tolerates Jewish hate in this country. I mean, it instigates a sort of anti-American, not sort of, but an anti-American hate-filled society. I mean, who wants that back in office?
Of course. President Trump is really great at getting his enemies to defend the indefensible. And so now he's got them defending Harvard University. Talk about out of touch. Talk about elitist. He has them defending Harvard University, and he has them defending anti-Semites. Okay, fine. If that's the side Democrats want to be on, fine by me. I think we're going to pick up the other half of the countries and make them triple trends in the next election.
Wow. Okay, critics are going after a long-time 60 Minutes correspondent, Scott Pelley, over a commencement speech at Wake Forest University in North Carolina. We took some bits and pieces. Watch.
You are the fierce defenders of democracy, the seekers of truth, the vanguard against ignorance. Our sacred rule of law is under attack. Insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts.
Well, some reaction online now. Scott Pelley raged at Trump in angry, unhinged commencement address at Wake Forest as he speaks openly and freely in America. Another, his misguided address does everything to uninspire the graduates and sets a disgusting tone of apathy and doubt. And this one, commencement speeches are meant to be a joyous send-off, not a politicized rant. Michael.
Yes, I think the problem, as Scott Pelley is pointing out, is that we just haven't heard enough from liberal journalists in America, right? Do you think one single voter believes that that's a problem? There's a great irony in his speech, which is out of the very next breath, as he's whining about the censorship and a curtailing of free speech, he talks about how great DEI is. And the irony is that the DEI policies have been used to censor conservatives. I myself have been disinvited from speaking at universities because of DEI policies. So I think what's happening for these people is they've tried to censor conservatives for a very long time. They've tried to censor normal people, and it hasn't worked. And now we've got our voice out there. We don't like what the liberal media are offering. The jig is up, and they're screaming about it, even at what is supposed to be a joyous event.
You know, when I hear something like Scott Pelley going off, first of all, I question whether or not they did a disclaimer about, like, journalists on board here. But I do wonder, does he hate half the country as much as he hates President Trump? Because he never mentions anything about the millions of people, the 76 million people who voted for Trump, as being valuable and loved in the country. He just simply goes after the man they voted for. And if Democrats haven't learned it yet, it all ties together. You pick on them, you pick on him, they're together.
This is the problem. They could try to go after Trump in 2016 or 2020, maybe. 2024, Trump won the popular vote.
Exactly.
And so we now know what has always been true. Trump is a representative of the people. And when you go after him, when you express your contempt for him, you're expressing your contempt for half the country. Well, don't be surprised if that half the country wants to tune you out.
Oh, 60 Minutes will become, what, 35 minutes?
All right, longtime 60 Minutes correspondent Scott Pelley recently delivered a commencement address to Wake Forest University. But instead of inspiring the new wave of graduates to follow their dreams or never give up, he went on this rampage about Americans living in fear.
But in this moment, this morning, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts. The fear to speak in America.
Can we get our money back? Asked the graduates. I kid. Well, he didn't stop there. Watch.
Power can rewrite history with grotesque, false narratives. They can make criminals heroes and heroes criminals. Power can change the definition of the words we use to describe reality. Diversity is now described as illegal. Equity is to be shunned. Inclusion is a dirty word. This is an old playbook, my friends. There's nothing new in this.
Wow.
Oh, Paul, make it stop. God, that was agonizing. 20 seconds of that. Could you imagine being graduate in the audience?
Okay there, King Lear. We got it. All right. Talk about cringe. A couple of things here. First of all, hey, college, they just can't quit you. That's what's really going on here, all right? They are losing the colleges, and that's their incubator, and they know it. He's come out to speak to the colleges. Why? Because the media university complex is beginning to fray. First of all, you have alternative means of communication. They're not going to get indoctrinated all the time by the professors. Number two, a record low number of high school graduates are going into the trades because that's who's getting rich. The plumbers are making all the money. So, you know, not only that, but a lot of the information technology, it's going to be done by AI. Everybody sees it coming. So what he's doing is going to the source. He's trying to make sure a couple of years from now, we got to keep our audience here on 60 Minutes. This is all that is. And Wake Forest, interesting. And this might be why he's there. Their DEI, I went on their website. Their DEI website, they are, quote unquote, re-envisioning their DEI program. And that just happened. Geez, I wonder if the election had anything to do with that. It's slipping away. He's trying to grab it back.
Which is ironic, Kaylee, because we saw reflected in the statistics from the election how it was young people and students included that surged in favor of President Trump. So he's sort of clawing back at those he's already lost. So would you argue that, yes, it fell on deaf ears?
Without question. I mean, you're a young person, and let's say you voted for Trump. A lot of young people did. You show up to hear what's the left saying, and then you hear Tim Walz talking about the Gestapo on one college campus, and then you go Scott Pelley. Look, I get he's a journalist, so he's supposed to not be on a side. Well, it's very clear what side you're on with your Hamlet motions. Those arm motions were very weird. And he's talking to you about you're under attack, insidious fear. Another clip, he said, I might be sorry you were picked in history for this role. These are people who are optimistic, about to go into their careers. This is not what they want to hear.
And you juxtapose that, Cheryl, with when the president, for example, gave the commencement address in Alabama, and he told those graduates, never let anyone tell you you are too young to make a difference. I mean, that's that's the inspiration that you need. But I think it goes deeper than that, which the whole point is that what people voted for, including those students in droves, is the optimistic, listening to you, you matter, your voice is important, tenor and tone and culture, which is the dead opposite that this guy was talking, this thespian was talking about yesterday.
Yes, congratulations, kids. You know, you've worked for 4 or 5, maybe 6 years to get this degree, you know, late nights, coffee, whatever else. But I'm going to make this about me. This is not about you anymore. This is about me. And that's exactly what he's doing with those Shakespeare motions or whatever that was. Was he acting? That was such a strange...
Yes.
I've met Scott Pelley. That's not the Scott Pelley I met years ago. But anyway, so yeah, I do think that it's unfortunate that that's his message to those kids. And I'm sure they were very disappointed, as were their parents, I'm assuming.
Right. What do you think the faculty thought, Harris?
That they're
Probably
all gripping
plotting him.
for relevance. I mean, the only thing he was missing was, I will not go quietly into that dark night. I mean, what in the actual? We know what's happening. They are losing their relevancy, and they soon will be losing their funding. I mean, Leo Terrell was on with me last hour, and he said, look, he's on the workforce for combating anti-Semitism for the Trump administration at Justice. And he said, look, we're not stopping with Harvard. Like, we mean business with this. We want to change the game. We want to prove that the 1964 laws of civil rights trump anything that these people are trying to do, either in sanctuary cities or on those what I call sanctuary campuses, because they're giving sanctuary to anybody who's not a Jew. And if we haven't gamed it out yet, there but by the grace of God go any of us when hate is on the move. The administration has an answer for this. And Scott Pelley, well, I don't know, maybe it won't be 60 Minutes anymore. Maybe he can just go on a speaking tour.
Yeah. Well, certainly he wasn't afraid to speak his drivel. Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.